Hello, everyone. This is Captain Jade again, giving you an update on the student loan story. So, the Department of Education decided to come back this time with a fourth debt collector, trying to collect on a debt which they've been paid already several times over. The U.S. Department of Education, as you remember on my previous video that I had explained the zero balance because they went back to the guarantor. The um, the original time that you start off with a student loan that is a consumer uh, services or consumer goods uh, loan, close-end loan, which you can find on the TILA Regulation Z. TILA Regulation Z. That will explain to you the various different type of disclosures, which goes into the credit application, consumer disclosure, things like that. Whenever the loan is transferred, they must give a disclosure to you. So this loan was originally with Discover, Pell Grant, and uh, Perkinson Loan. Okay, these loans were placed into a special purpose vehicle, which Discover was backed by the U.S. Department of Education because they got a deal going on for educational loans. Well, that special purpose vehicle was not notified to the SEC, which is required to do so. Now, the government of the U.S. Department of Education is supposed to be the guarantor of the loan, or they're the surety. Whenever a loan defaults, the U.S. Department of Education can go to the Treasury and say, I need these funds because this loan has an insurance on it. Well, that's exactly what they did, and I showed you that the balance was zero. Not only did they get paid for the uh, student loan application and promissory note when it went into the special purpose vehicle, Discover was done and washed their hands with it. But they were sending different debt collectors to try to collect from me. They could not validate the debt. Then it went back to the Department of Education, who went and got their guarantee from the government. Then it was zeroed out. A few months later, now yesterday, Wyndham decides to send for the same debt and tacking on their $2,000 of service fee. Okay, so $2,000 of service fee that I never signed up for. That was really nice of them. Now, they say that this is a notice regarding your account with the U.S. Department of Education is from Wyndham Professionals, Inc. The department has placed your account with us for collection. Unless you notify the office within 30 days after receiving this notice that you dispute the validity of this debt or any portions thereof, this office will assume the debt is valid. So obviously, your silence is your acquiescence if you receive the notice, and if you don't dispute within 30 days, then it is assumed that you owe the amount. If you notify the office within 30 days from receiving this notice that you dispute the validity of the debt or any portions thereof, the office will obtain verification of the debt or obtain a copy of the judgment and mail you a copy of such judgment or verification. So this is a third-party debt collector, right? And they want to impede upon my original contract. Well, where is their standing in all of this? Where is their standing? Where is their authorization to speak to me? So they're a third party intruder in the original contract. They also tacked on their additional collection fee, approximately $2,000, and also created three new account numbers just to confuse if you were tracing the securities from originally, you would have to go back and retrace the new securities. So this time they placed this in a new security, which we call the special purpose vehicle, mutual funds, uh, and things that are traded on Wall Street. So essentially, they're getting paid again the third time, right? The first time was for the credit application and promissory note endorsement. Second time, well, actually, this is going to be the fourth time. Uh, Second time was when they placed it in the original special purpose vehicle with Discover. Third time was when they went back to the government to get the guarantee money. Said that they lost out. Fourth time is in a new security. So these people are making a lot of money on you being asleep. Now, when you want to go write a letter to whomever that you're trying to resolve here, you go to their website, and according to this website and the news department, because they were not upfront in disclosing who their team was, I went into the news department and found out that this man here is the chief financial officer for Wyndham Professionals, Inc. That's who I'm going to put on the letter for the debt validation. The second thing is that you need to know their business location, so you'll have to search that on the Secretary of State for your state business search. And so here you see their name, their license is active, and their jurisdiction is in Massachusetts, and their head office is 380 Main Street. And so I would save that to my computer. Now the agent for service is when I want to sue them. So I would copy their registered agent address. The other thing is that we need to see who's in charge of the Department of Education as for these chief financial officers. So here I just went to www.ed.gov/about/officers list and so forth. Well, I got here, didn't know where to start searching for their names. As you can see, is quite robust. But this, I went to the Office of Inspector General because I know that the general is the military arm. So if I want to go into inspection, I contact the Office of Inspector General. And on this document here, you can see I was searching for the Chief Financial Officer. And you can see the Department of Education, Office of Chief Financial Officer. This letter was on, memorandum was on February 2011, which wasn't too long ago. And this person here is the Chief Financial Officer, Thomas Kelly. So I saved their name there on the computer. And when I go and write my letter, then this office, U.S. Department, Chief Financial Officer Office, is going to be notified. And then I can write to the Chief Financial Officer. I can write to the Chief Financial Officer for the other company. Now, what I gave them, the instrument, when I tender the promissory note and the consumer goods application under the TILA Regulation Z, they have to disclose to me every time that the note got transferred. And this applies in any case, credit cards, student loans, car loans, everything is securitized. And we talked about that in the previous video. I believe it was a FAS 140 off-balance sheet transaction, promissory note versus securities video on the YouTube. And essentially what we did was we gave them a gift from our estate, and we're not getting the benefit back because we're not filing the taxes on it. So you have to go to the Title 26 USC Section 2032A. 26 USC 2032A. And you can read this section here, which is gift and estate taxes, generation skip transfer tax. So when you step into the office of the executor, like what Gene Keating says, is that you are supposed to probate out and do the taxes for it. And so when you don't do the taxes, they're going to do their taxes, and you're not going to get the return to the estate gifts, you see, because they're just going to write it off as a 1099-C for forgiveness of the debt, when you should have forgiven the debt on the 1099 OID and 1099-C. I may have that a little bit wrong. There are other people who are far more advanced in the area of IRS settlement for the estate than I am. But at any rate, those are the areas that I would start with. And I would highly suggest, if you don't know your QSIPs and your um, special purpose vehicle SEC filing for your education loan, then go ahead and do a FOIA request, as we mentioned in the previous video. And so you can go ask them for those QSIP numbers and SEC file numbers, ascension numbers, CIK numbers. And so that will help you when you go and box them in for the settlement, because you got to get to the settlement table, but first you need to know all of the off-balance sheet transaction, all the tax fraud. You could bring the IRS into it in a 3949A if you knew what securities that they were trading that they were not paying the taxes on. Okay. And so essentially, when you know that this has been traded, they've been paid several times, then why are they collecting from you? Isn't that non-disclosure? Isn't that plundering of your vessel? You could take them in under a Title 18 or Title 28 violation for plundering your vessel in the estate. And that's why, we have the title as captain, although there's also master of the ship, which is higher. If you look up master and estate, that's a very interesting concept that they have that's very superior in court. Um, but as being a master, then you would be 100% liable for anything the employees did wrong. So I don't think I would want to be master. Be careful with the executor position, because you really got to know the tax, generation skip transfer tax. You got to know, if you're doing something wrong with the taxes for the estate that you may have not done already, and thereby putting yourself as an executor in default of the decedent's estate filings. So those gift and estate taxes are due back to the estate for the heirs. Yeah. All right, guys. Talk to you soon. Thank you.